appointed, which included 3 delegates from the Federation of Expellees. The Foundation Supervisory Board included, in addition to the Bund der Vertriebenen Federation of Expellees, members of the churches, the Jewish community, Parliament, and the government. The individual organizations nominated their own representatives, but they are subject to government approval. Erika Steinbach was happy. She thought she had succeeded and exclaimed, "This success makes me very happy." And there was no doubt in anybody's mind on her side that she herself would occupy one of these 3 seats assigned to her organization, because without Erika Steinbach there would never have been even a thought of an institution commemorating expulsions, neither in Berlin nor elsewhere. Thus it was axiomatic that the Covenant nominate her to the Board of Trustees as one of their representatives. Unfortunately, it was not going to be. This foundation, flight expulsion, reconciliation, was decided upon with Polish consent. And apparently the negotiations between the German government and the Polish government lasted long and were hard. But Polish government finally agreed to it. But instead of opposing the center itself, all the Polish opposition now was directed against the person, Erika Steinbach. Her offense in Polish eyes was that in 1991 and 1997 she voted against the Oder-Neisse line as the final Polish-German border, and that she claims to speak for the millions of ethnic Germans who were expelled from their homes in Poland and elsewhere in Eastern Europe after World War II. Her accusers claim that her true intentions were to revise history by drawing a moral parallel between the cruelties the Germans had inflicted on the Poles and the sufferings they later had to endure. And there was no assistance that she could expect from the German side. No German foreign minister, neither of the black-red variety nor the black-yellow coalition, rose to Mr. Steinbach's defense. Also, it should have been easy because Germany assisted Poland at the extent of 22 billion euros between the end of communism and last year. And in this context, it should have been easy for German officials to remind the Poles and the Czechs of Germany's contributions to their economies and ask for restraint. Instead, the contrary occurred. The Free Democratic Party chairman and current foreign minister Guido Westerwelle, during an official visit to Warsaw last fall, has come out strongly against appointing the leader of the Federation of Expellees to the board of the center, saying it would jeopardize the good relations with neighboring Poland. Westerwelle opposes Steinbach because, among other reasons, he voted against the recognition of the German-Polish border as a member of the Bundestag in 1991. He unequivocally stated, as member of the government, he would veto her appointment if the Federation of Expellees would nominate her. When Steinbach still refused to give in, already appointed board members from the Jewish community and both churches rushed to their foreign minister's side and requested that Steinbach give up her candidacy for nomination to the board. Early in February, about 3 weeks ago, after a decade-long struggle, Erika Steinbach succumbed to the Polish-German pressures. She relinquished her seat on the board, even though there was no moral reason for her to give in to the hostile objections raised by weak, albeit numerous, political characters in Poland and Germany. There's only one achievement Steinbach can call her own. And this is the fact that the Covenant of Expellees under her leadership has been enjoying a public recognition during the past decade as hardly ever before. The Covenant's significance had been decreasing due to the fact that its members had been dying out. Now the Covenant, already in the 90s expected to expire, had at least temporarily become an actor on the international scene that had to be taken seriously. Because the project of a Center Against Expulsion launched 10 years ago kept alive the discussion of the cold-bloodedly planned and brutally executed post-World War II expulsion crimes against Germans. So many articles and letters to the editors of German dailies and weeklies that have appeared during the past decade are testimony to this fact. Refuted have been those who pragmatically hoped for a biological solution of the problems they had with the expellees. But this was the only success. When Merkel's foreign minister, since last fall, made it clear that he didn't want Steinbach to join the board, his veto was all that was needed to deny her a seat on the board. Thus, the German foreign minister, Westerwelle, put the interests of Poland ahead of those of the expellees, and nobody could talk him out of it. It is a scandal and evidence of the government's incapacity to recognize its expellees by refusing the creator of the idea of the Centrum a seat on the board. In early February, prior to Steinbach's resignation, Merkel's coalition government reached a compromise that keeps Steinbach off the board, but seemingly and only seemingly increases her group's representation. It allows now parliament rather than the government to name members in future, but keeps the center under the auspices of the government-owned German Historical Museum. The upshot is clear. There will be a European sign against expulsion, but it will most likely not represent the truth about the German refugees and expellees, because Poles and Czechs, active participants in the Visible Sign project, will not allow a documentation of the expulsions in their entire complexity from a genuine German perspective of the affected East and Southeast European and Sudeten Germans. They will continue to explain or characterize the transfers, forced pilgrimage, self-inflicted migration, or whatever prettified names they prefer for the greatest and most consequential forced mass transfers in history, which by UN standards actually qualify as genocide. They will explain those by the simple cause-effect theory. Everything happened in response to Hitler's crimes, period. That's it. That's how simple it is to some. There will be no word about the fact that the justification of violence by previous acts of violence is nothing more than the application of the archaic vendetta principle to modern societies. There will be no mention of the fact that an aggressive Czech pan-Slavonism and an unfortunately Catholic embellished Polish chauvinism already in the pre-World War II era thought out expulsion scenarios. Hitler only gave them the opportunity to carry out those plans. There will be no words that Edward Beneš already in 1920 raised his opinion not to give the Germans the right to self-determination, but rather hang him on gallows and candelabra, which Czech thugs incited by her president in 1945 in Prague actually executed. When I found out about Steinbach's decision not to join the board of the Foundation Flight Expulsion Reconciliation, I sent her the following email. Dear Mrs. Steinbach, with regret, but also with understanding, I take note of your abandonment of a seat in the Foundation